Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Great Old Ones channel. Here, I talk about gaming in general and a lot of subjects for role-playing games specifically. Tonight, I was having a little discussion with my brother. We said, let's talk a little bit about game mastering skills and how to be a good game master and what that sort of thing entails. Um, Anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it, really. So uh, we decided yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there about people talking about how to be good game masters, but we felt that we wanted to, add something to it, add a little take, and from the standpoint of, we've been doing this a long time, and you're going to hear that, oh, my 40 years. Well, there's something to it, and being a successful game master is not necessarily the easiest thing anybody ever undertakes. Um, a little tough for me starting out being a game master from the standpoint I don't have good up in front of people social skills. So presenting stories and talking, it's easier when you're talking to your friends, but um, how to manage that from that end of it was definitely a challenge. This hobby does attract all types of people, and those that are a little bit afraid of some public speaking are amongst those types of people that like to run games. Just waiting on Rich to hop on here, and we'll bring him on. But he's got a lot of experience with running games and stuff too. He's actually done research on good ways to run games from not necessarily from the game running standpoint, but being up in front of people and how to present, and how to write good stories, and how to um, present information to people that may or may not be your friends, and make it interesting and make it a whole lot of fun to do. It does have a lot more aspects to it than just, hey, I'm going to read this paragraph out of this little book and then off we go. Some of the tougher parts is being creative. It's being able to go off the cuff. Um, Understanding the material and stuff that you're getting at. So we'll discuss a lot of those aspects of it when uh, when we get rolling here on his presentation. In the meantime, this is going to be a good segue into some of the other things I've discussed. Most of you are familiar with me running over a lot of Rollmaster stuff, but I wanted to dig into even more stuff involved with gaming other than just presenting a game here or there. Him and I are going to talk about aspects from running it from the game master side, but he's also willing to present his information on how to be a good player as well. So let me go ahead and bring him on here. Since I'm the great old ones, we will call him the great old two. All righty, welcome.
Okay, looks like we're working, right?
Yeah, it
Let's
sounds like
see.
your mic works pretty good this time.
Good. All right. Right there's the camera, right?
Yeah, you got a great run with the clutter in your room with the camera. I tried to hide mine with the background.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do that. Let's see
Yeah,
how do I-
are you kidding? Clutter is a
settings.
sign of a disorganized mind, which is highly creative. So there's a lot
Uh,
of documentation to prove that sort of thing.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Lots of knowledge back there. But let's not. How do we hide some of that? There it
You have to put
is.
together a background image. It's one of your. If you open up the little cog, you can throw in under visual effects.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
All right,
you can
so
put a picture of your pugs up there. That'll be sufficiently distracting from the.
yeah. Now let's put something a little bit more fun.
What's more fun than your pugs?
Well, nothing really, yeah. But
Not at all. Not at all. What's with the white hair there, buddy?
it's
I don't know.
Something. I mean,
Genetic, maybe. Yeah. Hey, look at that. Got a fire going and everything. That's
yeah.
a nice medieval themed image there for a role playing game discussion here.
Yeah. So let's see. So we've got this presentation thing. I want to put it into presentation mode. Let's see. How do we do that?
They just hit the slideshow
Let's just
and
start
then hit the present, and
beginning.
I'll go ahead and put
There
it
we
up.
go. All right. So it is up, and then there's this present.
Yep.
Share screen.
And as soon as it comes in, I'll pop it on the screen with us. There we go. Add to stage. Oh, there we go. Oh, let's remove that one. There we go. There it is up in there with a nice science fiction style background and stuff set up. Now, you'd mentioned to me this was something that you would put together for Gen Con, and so we can let our viewers know exactly how old you are. What year was this?
Well, as I was editing it, we were talking about Skype being used for virtual tabletops. So let's go back to before Discord. So this is probably 10 years old at least.
Okay.
But the data's the same. It's
storytelling doesn't change just with the change in technology. It just we adapt the technology to being a good storyteller.
Right. So I mean, to start off, this is just about how to be a GM, and everyone has their opinions. But the way I see things, the more information you have, the more you can figure out what's good for you. Because
before you had hopped on, I mentioned to set this thing up a little bit that you'd actually done some research to put together these ideas.
Yeah. So I guess the best way to explain the GM is that you're an improvisational storyteller, right? Because the table is telling the story, not just you, or
Right.
at least it hopefully isn't just you. So players, will do stuff you don't expect, and when that happens, you
all the time.
Yeah, you've got to you pivot. You don't panic. Just go with it. Blend your idea in with theirs because it's a community story. It's just you just don't panic.
Don't panic should be in bold, and it should be on its own slide.
Yes. Maybe on the cover of a book or something.
And it happens all the time. One of the things for a lot of new game masters get a little bit frustrated with players who aren't following what they thought should be followed in the story, and this is a good reminder to them too that this is their story as much as it is yours, right? You can't anticipate everything anybody's ever going to do, but as long as you roll with the punches, everybody's still having a good time. That's what matters.
And you never know how the dice are going to roll, so things could totally.
No, we'll talk about dice here a little bit later, but yeah.
Things could totally change. What the expectations are. Just roll with it. I mean,
yeah,
that's the fun.
Yes, don't. The fun of it is meeting those challenges and stuff. Oh, hey, we got a comment hopping in. All righty. Gonzalo stopping by to take a visit. He's the guy that I discuss role master with on a regular basis. So great having him hop in and heckle us from the chat section.
Well, I'll just compliment and say he's an awesome person. So maybe if I
good
do
guy,
that.
definitely a good guy.
So I guess to carry on. A great example would be how I had to pivot was I had a scenario where the Lich was going to kill the players. I had the storyline where the players would run around as ghosts, kind of a thing going on. And as the Lich tries to kill this one player, he kept making a saving throw. I mean, it just 3 times, and I went, oh God, I can't kill this guy to keep the story going. Then the player suggested that their group allied with the Lich, and I'm like, oh, okay, sure, good pivot. That's he had fun with it. We just the whole thing changed, but it was probably more fun for him
Right.
because we did something. We were following a suggestion of his.
So, something different happened. You adapted the story. Well,
Hmm.
it pretty much kept the same story, but it moved with what was happening as opposed to grinding everything to a halt.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like I wasn't going to break the rules and force the players to die. This was just a situation I expected them to die,
Well,
but
yeah,
but they didn't.
and
It's
and
like,
and it goes into it. Yeah. Whoa! Don't panic. Right. Now, something happened that wasn't expected as
yeah,
far as the story goes.
yeah,
So how do we
yes,
bring things back on and keep everybody still having a whole lot of fun? It sounds like that may have actually been more fun than them
oh
becoming
yeah.
ghosts.
They really enjoyed that. They really enjoyed, crossing the line of being a good hero to a not so good hero just to stay alive.
Mm.
Um, but you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I remember a while back, the whole group got together. They went into a dungeon, and like the first or second room, and the wizard dies. And I'm like,
Oh,
you just
yeah.
started this adventure. You're not going to stop and go back. And I can't have this player sit at the table for weeks and weeks and weeks doing nothing because he's dead.
Right.
Right. So I pivoted there. I said, okay, well, you're dead, but your spirit's hanging around your body and you have your cat familiar. You can interact with the party as your cat, but you just have to act like a cat. He loved it. It broke every rule, right? There's no rules for that,
No, that well,
you
make it
know.
up on the spot. There's a
Right. It's just
now there is a rule. So
this is the
every
way.
player now wants a familiar so that they
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
can right.
Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, you just have to pivot, and
Sure.
this is where the fun begins. Um, Improvise. That's pivoting, right? You're improvising.
Yeah, there's a difference between running canned material and then having to make some adjustments in there, then or they totally went off in left field on you. You've got nothing prepared for all of this. So just start winging it.
Mhm.
Yep.
Happens all the time. Well, I think that's probably what scares most new GMs is that they don't know what to do.
Right. Hey, I've got this brand new dungeon. Let's all play in this, right? And they turned left when they should have turned right.
Mhm.
And now it's kind of off script and off story and now they panic because the material that was presented to them doesn't match what it is that the party's doing. And a good GM definitely needs to just say, okay, well,
Mhm.
this is down. What's the left path? Right. Let's make it up as we go along. And as long as you have the general theme of what was supposed to happen and events and all that kind of stuff planned out, then you can definitely improvise of what's going on. Okay, well, eh, this kind of runs in a little bit if you're familiar with the Quantum Ogre, right?
Mm-mm.
They're good. They have a tunnel they're going down, and room B is an ogre, and they have to go in and fight the ogre. Well, they didn't go down that tunnel. They went down this other passage over here, and now they come to another room. The quantum ogre is well, I transport that ogre that was supposed to be in room B now over to this room.
Right.
So I, the no matter what happens, the team has to encounter that ogre, and that's not a way of not that the group would know that. That's not necessarily a good way of handling your players going off script. That's not really improvising. That's just you're continuing on a railroad.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if that ogre was important to the story, I can see that. But if the ogre was just an encounter, well
If
then,
it's
yeah,
a
now you're
delaying tactic or something
yeah,
like this, then you can put anything in that place,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. So that's the key is, when I say that you're improvisational, actor, storyteller, because that's what happens to you. You never know what's going to happen. Um, Unlike watching TV, it's you kind of there's a formula and what's going to happen. And TV can get kind of boring because oh, it's that actor. He's the best actor out of the new guys that are on the thing, so he's going to be the bad guy. There's just so much meta going on in TV and movies that it's hard to really be surprised. But with the gaming, that you're surprised all the time. It's awesome.
Right. Uh, you're playing a role in a story, right? But this isn't a story where everybody's got the script and everything all handed to them. They're
Mhm.
playing all these things out, and these are the events that are going to happen and stuff in the story. This is like if you remember the old TV show Whose Line Is It Anyway? They'll pull something out of a card. These guys don't know what's coming, right? So they got to make up something on the spot related to the scenario they're set up with on the card. Well, you're actually on the other side of it. The players are presenting you the card, and you got to make up something on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So one of the worries that the GMs have, is like, do you know all the rules? Well, no,
No,
you
I
don't.
don't.
Um,
I'll be the first one to admit it, and I don't try to know
yeah,
everything there is to know.
but you know the basic rules. You know enough to play it
Right,
to
how
get the
the
game going.
system works and
That's
how things
yeah,
interact and all that kind
yeah,
of. That's one thing. Yeah,
yeah. You're basically you have a basic story that you're going to tell. And you're interacting with the heroes, with the players who are the heroes. So you're kind of like you're storytelling together. Um,
missing an E,
that's
but that's okay. Yeah,
yeah,
little quick
well,
edit there. Yeah, your
yeah.
spell
I
check.
edited it a couple hours ago. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, taking out some material that was
Old.
from the past. Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, exactly. You know the basics of how the system is, all that kind of stuff is supposed to work. Now, this is where things like rules light systems really comes handy
Hmm. Hmm.
because there's just a frame and outline of how things are working, and it's expected that the game master will make rulings and stuff on the fly and just be consistent with those rulings and stuff, as opposed to having a super complex, detailed system that covers every possible aspect. And that's just way too much to try and memorize and try and learn. Um, and the stress of trying to run all of that is actually greater than just running something just off the cuff. Just be
Hmm.
consistent with it. That's all.
And back in the '80s, we didn't have a lot of choices.
No.
Yeah, there were only so many games out there. Now it's gosh, you have
Oh, your
so
games
many
and stuff all over the place,
new ones coming
and
out every week.
not
It's
only didn't we have a whole lot of choices, we just didn't have the money to buy a lot of those other
uh,
choices. We were making stuff up on the spot all the time.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. I like what you put in there. You have a story outline to tell.
Hmm.
Right. This is the basic. These are the events and stuff that is going on. How are the players interacting with all of that? And if they
Right.
don't go in the direction that you expected based on the outline of the story, well, then make something up.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And like we said about the rules, you don't need to know them all because there's probably a rules lawyer in the group with you that knows everything.
Typically, there's usually at least one in the group, somebody
Hmm.
spout off the rules and stuff like this for you. And fortunately, that guy enjoys that job. So, yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
they do.
we play with those guys all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and that's fine. And is he having fun? Right? Is he having
Mhm.
fun being the rules lawyer pointing out, well, on page 72, this is what it says here? Oh, great, thanks. But in this situation, I say that rule doesn't apply. You know,
Right.
um,
Yeah. Yes, I know there's no rule for making the ghost running around with a party. I'm making that one up right now just for playability. Okay. Yeah.
yep,
All right.
exactly.
So, Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
rules
don't.
lawyers are a challenge for storytelling game masters who, impromptu fudging the rules and stuff like this to make sure that we advance story and everybody continues to have a good time. That it can lead to some frustration.
Yeah, it's the fudging of the rules is all about making it playable. It's not about messing things up and game balance, because you can break a rule that can totally imbalance the game
It's
and
not
make
an
everyone.
adversarial
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, you can do damage if you do it wrong, you know.
Right.
So yeah, you got to be careful. It's there's a lot of things that you have to do in moderation, or at least just be careful about. Um, and we'll get to those later. But
Sure.
yeah, but just the key is just making sure everyone's having fun. There's game balance has been designed into these games for the most part, so you don't want to break rules too much. But just figure it out. Is this gonna work?
The main piece of that is if you encounter something that you've got no rule for, having an understanding how the rule system works that you mentioned in the other slide will help you make those decisions when there isn't something that applies in the situation that occurs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as
My
writing,
handwriting is terrible, so this slide is perfect for me here. Oh, that's not what you mean by being a good writer.
no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Did I spell it wrong?
No, you spelled that fine.
Oh, writer, not writer. Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Rider. Yeah, I can't
yeah,
ride either.
yeah,
No, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you don't need to be a great writer. There's so many
How much
parts
stuff
to
do
the
we
game.
rip off from stories
Right.
and
Yeah.
movies and yeah, that's
Yeah.
cobble it all together. And somebody else did all the writing. I'm just putting the pieces on the table.
Mhm. It's actually really hard for me to write something from scratch, like just come up with something. Um, so there's a trick that I do sometimes when I'm at this brick wall, where I'll just randomly roll up three different, monsters, and then I will figure out what's the probability of these three monsters being in the same area, and then that's the story.
Sure.
You just create the story out of some seeds, basically, and
Hmm.
then that'll allow you to do something original. But you have all the modules, all the stories, all the movies, all the books, everything to build off of too. So
And this is a game that involves dice. Why not randomly roll something up and go with that as your
hmm
seed for your story? That's
hmm
part
now,
of the game, right?
yeah, the secret is
Oh,
you have to build in stuff for every character. So if you have a fighter, you have to have something for it to fight. If you have a thief, you have to have something for it to do that's in the thieving sort of realm of skills. If you have a cleric, there's got to be something, that's religious based, or there's healing involved, or something that incorporates their spells. Same thing with the wizard or the bard or the barbarian. Everyone, you want to put things in for each character. Otherwise, the players,
somebody's going to be bored.
right, they're not able to
They're not
play.
having fun.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not playing. So
And
that's about the hardest part of writing your stories, is just making sure there's something for everybody.
hmm, what do we got?
There are various types of GMs out there, lots of different types. Um, some of them are well balanced, and some of them are not. Some of them are very specific to a style of GMing, like the dice rollers, which they don't care about story. It's just kick in the door, kill the next monster, kind of a thing. Script runners, where they have a story that they're telling, and you're just along for the ride. Now that's okay in certain circumstances, if the players really don't know what to do or are new to the game, they're really learning, and they really don't talk a lot, and they're really, they really don't have an identity in the game. Well, then they need that guidance. But you have to know who your players are to be able to run as that kind of a GM. And then there's the rules lawyers, where everything's all has to be by the book. There's no deviation. If you're not having fun and it's a rule that you're not having fun, then you're not having fun. That's I've seen them. I've been played with them. It's not a good thing, but that's what they do. Then there's the egomaniacs that are, they're very adversarial. Right? They're there to kill your character, or they're there to, just to feed their own ego. Um, that's just not a good situation any way you look at it.
No, not at all.
But then there's the opposite, the pushover, where, oh, but I want a magic item, and then they start handing out magic items. Oh, but I want this. Oh, and then you have a totally unbalanced game, because they're just trying to please everybody, and they're not really thinking about game balance.
And how much fun are they having?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're getting pushed around, you're not gonna have any fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then we have the drama club GMs, where it's all about role playing. Who cares about the rules? It's all about just this interaction of story, between each and every player. Now there's games for that, so all of these have games for that to some degree. But it's just knowing that there's those different types out there.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at Gen Con, and I first came up with the idea to do this kind of a thing, there were these GMs, these younger kids that called themselves Iron GMs. And I'm like, okay, and you've got a seminar, you're going to talk about how to be an Iron GM. Okay, this is I'm there, I'm sitting there, and everything they said, I was like, no, that's wrong. No, that's wrong. They were the dice rollers. They didn't want to hear about your character. They didn't want to hear about your character's background. They just want you to roll the dice. And they thought that they were the shit, you know? So they were a good combination of the dice rollers and the egomaniacs. It was really that told me I had to say something. I have to, have to let
Right.
other people
Because
know.
nobody else is going to have fun in that story except for that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically,
Here we go. Now we're into trouble.
Yeah.
See what your players need. Sometimes
Yeah.
my players need a smack, but yeah.
Will be that smack.
Ah.
And what we really mean by this is, with all the different types of GMs, there's all the different types of players that fall into all those types of GMs.
Sure.
Just make sure if you've got the dice roller, make sure that they're rolling the dice. If you've got the role player, make sure there's stuff for them to role play. Just give everyone what they're there for, and everyone's we will be having a good time most of the time. Make sure all characters get equal time, and you're gonna have a good game.
Right. So
Now,
have fun, and if one guy's not having fun, then nobody really should be. We should all make some adjustments and make it. You getting together to have a good time and play a game. For the most part, that's what it's about. And if somebody's not having fun, we got to fix that.
Mm-hmm. So
not to be a pushover and fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where if the chemistry is too different with everyone, well, then there's too many people not having a good time. So the ideal situation is if everyone is of the same sort of style of a player or NGM all together doing, then now you're set, you're good to go.
Right.
And don't be afraid to quit a game because the chemistry isn't there. I was running in a game for years and the chemistry was not there, and it was like a chore. And then I just quit and started up another game, and I made sure everyone was of the same chemistry, and we've had the most fun ever.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, you want to include a lot of different types of people, and into your group and stuff, because the more diverse, if you want to look at it that way, your friend group is, the more everybody's going to grow from the experience. But you don't want to be with such differences that it's just difficult to be together.
Mm-hmm.
You got to decide, no, this is not for me, and draw that line, or you're not going to have any fun. You're not going to enjoy it. And you're going to be soured on the hobby and leave and go do something else.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard so many people who've tried, tabletop RPGs, and they said, "Oh gosh, I had such a horrible experience because the GM was horrible or a player was horrible or whatever." And I'm like, "No, this is so much fun. I'd
Find
rather,
the group that goes with.
yeah."
They're out there. Yeah,
But they don't know. I mean, when you're new to all this,
yeah.
you just don't know.
If
And
their only experience is that one table at
Mhm.
your friendly local game store,
Right.
and they don't know of anything else, then
Yep.
that's going to color their experience, and we're going to lose somebody from the hobby forever.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I think it's one of your subjects in here is virtual tabletops. We'll get to that too.
Yeah.
That's a big
Yeah.
plus for that.
So other types of players are script breakers. So they're looking to pop holes in your story. So they can test you to see how well you pivot. Actually, me and some friends that like to do that.
I noticed. Yeah.
Um, because it's I don't know, it's thinking outside the box. You
Right.
know,
And not only does the game master have to be able to think outside the box, why can't the players think outside the box too?
right,
Sure.
right.
Well, what happens if we go and take that left turn at Albuquerque?
Hmm. Yeah.
Well, so what if you didn't prepare for it?
Hmm.
Pivot. Yeah.
The min-maxers are probably the most popular player that's difficult to manage. And by
Popular,
min-maxer,
most prolific, or most plentiful. Yeah.
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 There's a flaw there too, though. I mean, yes, they maxed out being able to, do tons of damage in a short amount of time. Sure, great. Well, there's a whole bunch of other skills on your list that they're crap at. So, make sure the story has a bunch of that too.
Right.
And
Right.
that
Because
will.
if you're running a game, you should know what your players, not the players, what your players' characters are capable and stuff. Because you got to
Mhm,
build the game around
mhm,
that group of players. But knowing what their capabilities and their weaknesses and stuff are helps you put that little pin in the side of the min maxers and get them to think in a different direction sometimes.
mhm. Yeah, and I've seen it many times. Yeah, okay, combat starts, they destroy everything really quickly and are very, very effective. But during the investigation and the puzzles and all these other things are absolutely useless.
They miss all the pieces, they miss all the clues,
Mhm.
and yeah,
The no skill. Um, and then there's the dreaded ball hog, the person who has such a huge ego that they got to be the center of attention, and they pull all the attention from everybody else at the table all to them, and they run the game, and they're just they make
they're,
it difficult for everybody.
they're the loudest in the group. If they're not getting their
Yes.
way, they got to make sure they try to recruit
Uh,
other players
they
to,
te- they
yeah.
tell yeah to do it. Yeah, they tell other players how to play, all that kind of stuff. Um, I knew a guy who could easily slip into that kind of a player. It's not that he wanted to, it's just that he was that competitive. And I
Hmm.
knew that he was going to be a problem in this large group telling everyone what to do. So I managed to get him to make a character that was mute as a
Ooh,
disadvantage. So he could
aha.
not talk during the entire game, but
Oh, that must have been rough.
he could do hand signals. He could do, write notes. He could, and that kind of a thing. He could communicate every other way as much as he wanted, right? And it was great because it was a challenge for him to still play, but it had his mind was not. bored with how other people weren't doing their stuff, he was always trying to be creative with how he communicated. And
Hmm.
it was really, really effective. With that player challenging him to be an even better, player. So pivoting, right? That
Right.
was a pivot. So, um, the player characters are the heroes. We have to remember that. It's all about them. They want to be smart, they want to win, and they want some reward for all of their efforts. That they are the heroes. Um, so keep that in mind when you're doing whatever. It's not about you as the GM and your villains and all that. It's about them.
Yeah, this
And
goes
I.
back to your GM styles.
Mhm,
The egotistical game master can't deal with this type of concept.
mhm,
That's yeah. They don't. That's not why their players are there for them for this.
mhm,
This is ultimately what the game's about. Yeah.
mhm. I mean, I've kept the same group of players for 11 years because A, I didn't move around, but B, because they were enjoying that they were the center of attention, that their characters, that their stories, that they were the ones that were leading everything.
Hmm.
So that's just a great way to keep the group together.
Yeah, not just that, but if you're talking about who I think you're talking about, you've got a smattering of some of the other types of players to a degree in all of them, and
Mm-hmm.
they are all working together, which is
Mm-hmm.
a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of reward for their efforts. I mean, I got to start handing out those Holy Avengers to everybody now. Mm.
Especially the paladins in your group,
Oh, okay.
but only the paladins
Only
because
the
they're the
paladin.
only ones who really deserve it.
Okay, got it.
Okay,
I'll keep that
just
in mind. So if I got a
yeah,
paladin, I give him the Holy Avenger.
because
Everybody else gets
because
rot grubs. Yeah.
yes, yes,
I got to play the favorite for the paladin, but everybody else.
yes. Always
Yeah.
play the yes, yes. And we're not even people. We're not even talking about a game that we're playing together, or we did play or whatever. We're not even doing
All right.
that. So when you start the game, you want to be straightforward with the players. You want them to know what kind of a game this is. What's the style? What's allowed? What's not allowed? Because you need to create a safe environment for everyone. So I st-
Recently, this has been renamed into being Rule Zero.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, before we would just know who our friends were and who we were playing with, and it really wasn't a thing. But now we're getting together with so many different people that you never know, where they are. You never know where they are.
Right.
Um, I've been totally blindsided by some people that I've randomly played with and had no clue that they were super sensitive about X, Y, or Z and that kind of stuff. You just never know. Um, with your friends, it's easier, but so when you're starting that new group together, you want to make sure everyone has their cards on the table, right? You know, what areas that you're not going into. Like if people have like fears, like a fear of spiders,
Yes.
right?
I
Yeah.
had a player in a game that had a deathly fear of spiders, and I like spiders in my games,
Hmm.
and it was a little bit of a challenge for him to deal with the fact that there were spiders
Hmm.
in the game because of the irrational fear and stuff that he had. But he was a good sport about it. He used the opportunity to try and help himself get through some of that phobia of the spiders. It wasn't the point where that's where I draw the line. This can't happen at all. He was at least willing to take on the challenge. But you also have to know that if you do have somebody that is a limit for them, um, but otherwise they still fit the group, well, pivot around that limit.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
yeah,
I'm developing in my Friday night game. Everybody has a fear of poison, and they're probably going to forbade me from using poison ever again in the game. So we'll see how that works out.
yeah,
Yeah.
um,
What style of game? That's exactly right.
yeah,
What kind of game do you like to run? And this is what we're planning on doing, so that everybody's on the same page when it comes to what's happening. And now that we just touched on it there, what's not allowed in the game, not just um, from their aspects of it for things like fears and stuff like this, but we definitely need to know behaviors that we won't accept at the tabletop, as well
hmm
as, okay, well,
yeah,
we're not going to do, we don't want to, skeletons or spiders are way out of it, but we have to also the behaviors and stuff like this that we won't tolerate in the game either.
yeah. I mean, I remember a player who interjected a lot of sexist kind of jokes, and you could see the table just get uncomfortable with,
Sure.
his, so
Take the guy aside and say,
yeah,
okay, that,
yeah. We told him to, to calm it down, but eventually he just left because he, that was the way he is, and he just didn't play anymore.
hmm,
So yeah, just make sure it's a safe place. That's the key thing, right?
right.
So to be a good GM, you want to have good chemistry with your players, which is, being of like mind, like same expectations,
Oh, I
same
was thinking
style.
the other direction there. I thought I was going to have to get out, you know, the lab and
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. Make sure you hand out the LSD tabs. Make sure that
ah,
chemistry is there.
I think I can handle
Uh,
that. Yeah, got it. Yeah,
yeah, that kind of
perfect.
thing. If you can't do that, then maybe a little mixology in there, like
Ah,
doing the drinks. Would you like, uh, a rum and coke, a gargle blaster? I mean, what would you like?
perfect, perfect. I think we're
Yeah.
on the same page when it comes to
hmm
chemistry. Then, yeah,
hmm
yeah. No, no, and in your point there, the more alike, the better. Yes, because then there's going to be fewer conflicts and stuff that go on. It's it's easier for you to prepare games for people who all like the same sorts of things because it's less work on your end to prepare a game for a bunch of fairly like-minded individuals. Whereas if you've got a lot of people that would like to go off into different directions, it makes it a whole lot tougher to come up with a fun and challenging story for them.
hmm I have been super lucky over the past couple of years. I found a group of guys locally, by some miracle, and we're
Chemistry,
all very much the same. So we like rules, but we don't focus heavily on the rules. We like rolling dice, but we like role playing. It's a very perfect balance that we all have together, and we all even like to have our characters be characters. So, you know, um, we use accents, from time to time, and it really makes for an excellent game. A lot of fun. We just have to get together. It's so
right?
much fun.
And we mentioned this early on when we were talking. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time hunting around to find
hmm
that group that you
Oh
really
yeah,
match with. Yeah.
yeah. I found one of these guys in another group that was bad chemistry. um, we had a guy, whatever you said to him would offend him. A guy who was a min maxer. A guy who was uh, very much Gen Z, very sensitive to everything. And then there was me, and the GM was very new. He didn't know about game balance. He's just reading everything straight out of the book. That's the way it is. So it was a quite the experience that didn't last for too long. But
Hmm.
I found the one guy out of it, and now we're playing every other week, and so it's you never know.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just find. Bad GMing habits.
Well, we can skip
Uh,
this. I don't have any. So
yeah. Well, this isn't just for you.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
not.
good.
I'm
Okay, got it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not.
really,
I'm
this
not
is something we
saying.
definitely need to focus on for ourselves at all time. Doesn't matter how long we've been doing this. This kind of stuff always creeps into games, no matter how much
Mhm,
experience we have.
mhm. So never favor one player over another for any reason. Never do that. It's just it's not a
You
good
see
idea.
that in a lot of family games, or
Hmm.
where somebody brought their girlfriend and we're trying
Hmm.
to, and yeah,
Hmm.
it,
Or your
it
best friend, or
something.
something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do not do that.
poison everybody equally.
Yes. Yes. Um, you know, if you don't give equal time to every player, that's horrible because then everyone's not playing.
Right.
And
You're
you're
gonna
gonna
lose a
lose
player
people. Yeah,
because he's not having
you
fun.
lose. Yeah. One of my guys in the group, he stopped playing another game because he never got time to play his character. So
Mhm.
um, don't force the storylines. This is back about pivoting, right? When you force and railroad, it's a joke, and people don't like it. It's like, well, no, I don't want to do that. You know, I didn't do that. I would never do that. You
Right.
know, I remember
They're
starting
not
a
there
game.
to watch a movie or listen to your narrative. They're there to participate in a game. And they can't participate in the game if you don't give them the opportunity to do so.
Mhm. I remember starting off third edition. A friend of mine GM'd, and I wanted to play a paladin, so I made the paladin.
Aha, I figure the Holy Avenger thing will come out sooner or later here. Yeah.
And then, oh no, that's a different story.
Okay, okay.
And then he said, "Okay, you all start off in jail." And I'm like, "I'm a
How did a
paladin.
paladin end up in jail? Yeah.
I I can't." And I couldn't get over it. I couldn't get over the fact that I was in jail. It was like, well, then I read in another book, never start your players off in jail.
Yes, but under the right circumstances, something similar to that can work as a good starting point for a team, but it has to make sense. A
Yeah,
paladin in the group, that starting point goes out the window,
right,
or something like that.
right.
You know, why? If you're going to have something similar to that, I did it once where I started off the player character group as they were all captured and they were being transported to a slave market somewhere. So the whole point was that now they break out, overtake the slavers, and then off they go with their equipment and stuff like this in the campaign. It was a little bit of a different start. That's a little more easily explainable than, why is the paladin in jail?
Hmm.
Well, I
Um,
mean, because he was in the lawful evil city. That's why he was in jail.
well, yeah. I mean, sure. If you can put the story in, then okay,
Right.
tell me that there's an evil overlord, and that's why. Okay, I'll be okay with that. He never did that. He never
He
made
didn't
it.
have an explanation for it.
No,
That's just what he read it somewhere, and that's what he wanted to try.
this
Yeah.
this is just what. Yeah, he just not paying attention to the players. And then there's the dreaded NPC hero that is injected into the group, who is better than the players, and too many times, just wins the scenario for the group. It's like I remember doing that in high school.
I've seen this a lot. And when we remember at the high school playing with some other
Hmm.
friends and stuff where it was always the GMPC.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, the GM. Yep, we
Saving the day
actually,
and everything all the time. Yeah.
yeah, we actually plotted to kill this guy's NPC. We hated it so much.
Okay. Ah,
Yeah, because they always get the right magic item. It's just they always get the Holy Avenger.
yep.
Always.
Always.
Yeah. So there are bad habits. Don't do them. Um, I like to be prepared, have some stuff ready to go.
Yeah, that's
Um,
another thing I learned back from my days when I was in the military. There, one of the things is going through the class called Techniques of Military Instruction. Um, During training, you need to have something in your hip pocket. So if something doesn't happen related to the main story of something's going on, you can pull something out of your hip pocket and run with that in an instant. So that's part of being prepared. Not that you're running your preparation for all angles on the story, but that you're if something happens, you got something you can lay down in a hurry. The part of your pivot is you've got something in your head, maybe even prepared for when they took that left turn at Albuquerque.
mhm,
Yeah. You're not really caught flat-footed because you always got something in your pocket that'll work.
mhm. Some players will, like kind of like charge forward and have their own ideas of what they want to do. Others do not. So you've got to be ready for both scenarios.
Yes. Hey, we added another viewer here.
Oh boy.
Yeah, no problem. This is for everybody. Anybody can watch us. Yeah, we're not exclusive to only a couple of people.
No, this is for everybody who, is playing RPGs, wants to be a GM, wants to be a good player.
Hmm.
Um, this is thousands of years of experience.
Right. Well, we are the great old ones. We've got millennia of experience for sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
so one of the ways you can be prepared is just have bookmarkers. Yeah, I totally spelled that wrong. Um, this is what editing last second does. Um, but bookmarks in the game books, right? What are the
Yeah.
tables that you usually sit that you keep going back to? Just put the bookmark in there.
Yeah,
Cheat.
before Post-it notes came out, we were
Yeah,
folding dog-earing pages.
yeah, we're target. Yeah, yeah. Just make cheat sheets. Index cards. If you have these things ready to go while you play, then it's really quick to get to them. So you're not looking things up and everyone's bored for 10 minutes as you look something up.
That's right. The rules
Yeah.
lawyer will find it for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they'll be right there with it in a second because they've memorized the books. But if you don't have that, you know, then having just these few things, like I just started playing Savage Worlds and it's awesome. I love it, but I don't remember offhand what you can do with a Benny. Is that like inspiration? Yeah, no, well, yes and no. You can do this, but you can't do that. So just having it, there's the car, there it is. Yeah, this is what we can do. Blah 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 blah. Okay, let's go.
Right.
You know.
Right. You can refer back to something that you're not overly familiar with, as opposed
Hmm.
to flipping through the books or making something up,
Hmm.
figuring out that doesn't really work, and then now you got to be consistent with all your decisions. And yeah, because if
Hmm.
you're not consistent with your decisions, you're going to lose players.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah. Props. I love to use props. It can be handouts, maps, letters, anything. Um, to bring the virtual reality into the reality of the players. Um, it's every time I've used props, the game has just everyone's just loved it and really got into it. Um, a,
Yeah.
a great
Yeah.
example is
When we were kids, we'd take that
yep,
map and we would pour tea on it and burn the
yep,
edges, and here's
yep,
your map. Yeah.
yep, yep. I got one of those wooden boxes from a craft store, little chests, and I got these little potions, little potion bottles
Oh wow.
with corks and all that. And I put a different type of liquor,
Ooh.
or liqueur in each of the bottles. And then I put these names on the bottles.
Aha.
These devilish demonic names on each of the bottles. And I sealed them with wax, and then I put the prop on the table because it was in person, which was great. And the thief grabs it. He's like, is this what we see? Yeah, that's what you see. Can I like pick the lock? Sure, roll, pick the lock. Yep, you pick the lock. Okay, you can open it. Can I open it? Yeah, go ahead and open it. And he opens it up, and there's what is this? So I said, if you take a bottle and open it and drink a little bit of it, or drink it, and tell me what that liquid is, I'll give you a bonus experience.
Ooh.
So so they were having fun, doing that. But the potion actually did other things, for the game. But it was that there it is. There's the something in front of you kind of a thing that really made it
Yeah.
very enjoyable. So props are a good idea if you can. If you can't, that's fine too. But it's just it helps.
Mm-hmm.
Battle maps are a prop. Some people want to be tactical, so they want to have, they want to know what angle, where can they hide, where can they have cover, where's the escape route, so you've got a bunch of information that's there in the image for them to work with. I don't see the text. Is there a way I can see the text going on, or
Oh, let's see. Let me.
do I look at comments? Do I?
There we go. With your little bottle thing.
Yeah. It was less than an ounce, okay? And there was only like 8 of them. So if you were a lightweight, fine. Yeah, you'd be out. But yeah.
Well, the only drawback to that, you got to know your players.
Know your players.
If you
Yes.
know somebody that doesn't drink, you can't pull that one.
Right.
Right.
Right. Point of note: don't use beer. Don't use anything bubbly. It doesn't stay sealed.
Oh, yeah. So now, yes, gas laws. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, the
we introduced
pressures.
physics into it here.
Yeah,
Now,
they
come on.
build up, and then the cork comes out.
Mm,
And it goes stale. So you don't want to do that.
yeah. Cool.
Figs, miniatures.
Yeah,
Again,
miniatures is a big deal, and if you remember when we were kids, couldn't afford a lot of those miniatures, so we used. Well, we dug up the cardboard heroes, or we made them ourselves, and something to represent the characters and stuff on the board. So the players got those are for the visual players, so they can see themselves on there, and it helps them focus on parts of the story and stuff that involves them. Yeah.
yeah. No, I love battle maps. I love the figs. I have got thousands of them. Many of them are actually painted. Many of them are not. But it's just a fun little hobby to paint them, and it really adds a nice little bit of virtual reality to the game. So if you can do that and you're in person, it's great. It works nicely. You don't need it,
No,
but if
none of
you
that stuff is absolutely necessary to run the game. You can
Mhm,
completely theater of the mind a game, right? But
mhm.
the props helps with the immersion, like you
Yeah.
mentioned back a couple slides ago. That's exactly what they're for.
So now we're into the virtual tabletops. So with the
Here we go.
pandemic,
Yeah.
with your friends and family living hundreds of miles away, it's really hard to to play together. I've been actually collecting virtual tabletop software since the beginning of
Hmm.
the first ones that came out, and I've seen them come and go, and they have totally evolved over the years. Um,
No,
D20
there's more than what
Pro,
you got listed there, but yeah.
yeah, way more list than a list here, right? These are the common ones now.
Mhm.
D20 Pro was like one of the first that before Roll20 was really going anywhere. It was Java based, but it was only for 3.5. That's the only license that they could get to do it for. Fantasy Grounds was also came out at the time, um, and they were building for more than just one game. So they had diversified, and they did well with their stuff for the longest time, and they're still going now. They're still going very strong. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's my
you use
primary
it,
virtual
you know,
tabletop that I run with,
um,
this Fantasy
yeah.
Grounds. Yeah.
I've used it quite a bit. I've actually made a rule system for the expanse in that. Um, it's
Yeah, we played it.
yeah, it's a good one. It's a and then there's Roll20, which has evolved quite a bit over the years. But Foundry is like the new kid on the block that started off a few years back, but has slowly, with community input, built up more and more and more content with code that is modern code. It's all JavaScript, so it's all very modern, and they built a framework where you can just build any game into it, and boom, you're now playing whatever rule set someone has already built, or you're building if you're
Hmm.
so inclined. So it makes it so all of the props, all of the rules, all of the automation can be in there to make the game faster. So you're playing more than you're figuring out what dice to roll. This kind of stuff is really what can make Rollmaster, popular again, because with Rollmaster we've got all those pages and pages of charts. Well, now you don't need those charts because you roll the dice, the computer looks it up, boom, spits it out, and now you know what happened. It's
It'll
it,
speed up play considerably. Yeah. And,
totally, yeah.
mhm.
So, and then of course, talking, you know, to each other across the world, with Discord being the latest, and best way to do
Yeah,
that
that's
too.
the only really difficult, disappointing part of these virtual tabletops is most of them are just text chat and a chat window, and
Hmm.
you
Now,
really are missing, even with Discord's limitations. You still want the face to face
yeah.
voice interactions and stuff. It's a social game.
Hmm. Now Roll20 has that built in.
Okay.
Um, but D20 didn't, and I don't think or
Well,
Fantasy Grounds does
Fantasy
either.
Grounds does not. No,
Yeah.
it's on
Um,
chat. Yeah.
Foundry might have a module for that. I don't know.
If they
Um,
don't, they will soon.
yeah. Well, we just use Discord. It's already done, right? Now
Sure.
before we had to use Skype. We had to use Google Hangouts. We had to use, whatever that we could, get our hands on before.
Hmm.
But now Discord really kind of handles it all pretty well.
Oh yeah,
When you,
and you can get plugins and stuff. You can run a game totally on Discord as
yep,
maybe your virtual tabletop too. Throw up an image on the screen for them to look at and do a
yep.
lot of, and then dice rollers and stuff. Yeah. So
Yeah, I remember talking to a guy who ran everything off of Discord, and it was all theater of the mind. There
and
was,
that's okay.
yeah, yeah,
Understanding that's what it's going to come out to be. Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So next on the list, we have game balance. Help the weaker players, help them play their character. Um, they may not know what to do, so just help them out. And then on the opposite side, keep control of the min-maxers. Just make sure they don't dominate everything and take over the game.
Right. Don't play their characters for them, but make suggestions to the
Right.
weaker players. Hey, you know this this particular type of character is good at this sort of thing, so maybe you might want to try that. Give them at least make ultimately
Right.
their decision, but give them hints
Yeah.
as to what's good play for their characters. Yeah.
Right. So the idea being that your character might know these things, even though the player doesn't know those things.
Sure.
you know so yeah, your character knows that blah 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 is the second son of the noble of the third house, you know but the player wouldn't know to ask about that, it being significant to the story or whatever. So
Or he's playing a brand new player to the game and wants to try out and run. Well, it's rogues now, but they wanted to run a thief, and well, how are we going to get over there to unlock the castle door? Need to prod them a little bit. You can
mhm.
climb rough surfaces like walls. Oh, can I really? Bam.
Mhm.
And you see their faces light up and stuff like this when there's something that they can do.
Yeah. Now, this is very different from the idea of that I found out personally. I was starting in a Call of Cthulhu game, and I wanted to play a Catholic priest. So I rolled up the character, and then day one of starting to play, I'm like, I don't know anything about being Catholic, let alone being a Catholic priest. I can't even start acting like this character. I don't know what it's like to be a Catholic, let alone, let alone religious. I
Sure.
didn't go to church. I don't know, you know, I don't know what's going on. I can't do this.
Watch The Exorcist a couple of times, then go
Yeah.
back and play Call of
Yeah.
Cthulhu again.
Well, yeah, that's like, well, there's so many things you have to watch to figure it all out. You have to go to church to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So I said, forget it. I'm playing a journalist. I got a degree in journalism. I can do that. You know,
And some players, that's what they want to do when they play a game is kind of play themselves in the game. And
mhm,
there are some players that want to go outside their comfort zone and play.
mhm,
Hey, I've never done this before. Let me take a shot at trying to be that Catholic priest. Yeah.
mhm. Yes, I have a very good player in the Call of Cthulhu game. His characters have, some of them have died. Um, However, his replacement character just happened to have the exact same last name, which is his last name. So it's like he
Yeah,
is
I know that guy.
playing
Yeah.
he is playing himself,
Every
from
character he
every now
plays.
a
Yes.
different personality of himself, but himself. But he's playing what he knows, right? He knows he's got a German background. He used to work in a theater. You know, he's playing what he knows, which is
Is
great.
he having fun?
Oh my God, is he having fun?
That's what that matters.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So,
Control min maxers. Ooh, that sounds like that's almost impossible, really.
well, no,
No, no.
no. So with this, you're looking at the 5 room dungeon theory, which is you have role playing encounter, you have a puzzle encounter, you have some sort of a skill encounter, and then
Sure.
you have a fighting encounter, and you mix those up, right? Well, a min maxer min maxes for combat. If only 2 of the 5 rooms are combat, he's not doing anything for the other 3
Right.
because he didn't put the points
He
in the right spot.
dumped all his points into he's the one shot wonder kind of thing,
Mhm.
hoping that's going to win him through. Right.
Yeah. So that's how I control them,
Mhm.
and it gets them out of that zone, and it improves their playing ability because now they're actually doing more than just one thing.
Mhm.
And and if they are the type that just wants to roll the dice, well then they're not
Okay.
going to last long in the game anyways, and they'll go find a game where they get to do that. You know, um, so it's just it's all about game balance, right? Just making sure you're balancing everything out. You're bringing up the people who need to be brought up, and you're slowing down the ones that need to be slowed down.
Mhm.
Dice rolling. Yeah, we talked about this earlier. Don't make them roll for opening a door if there's no reason for it. Can they fail it? Well, then don't make them roll, right? Um, and if it's impossible to do, oh, I'm going to do a backflip and leap 50 feet in the air. Well, you can't. Oh, but if I roll a 20, I can't. No, you can't.
Yeah.
Just let them know the limitations. But making that die roll it's like, how do you fail that? Can't what is the consequences of failing it? Is it required to fail it? Is there some sort of story point for failing that roll?
Mhm.
If there isn't, well then just don't do it.
Right.
You know,
some of that kind of stuff just be handled narratively through play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because of the probability of the roll. Yes, you will only fail on a 1. Damn, you rolled a 1. Wow, you can't even open a door. That's pretty sad. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Why did okay, so you're the big barbarian with a 20 strength and you rolled a 1 opening a door. Yeah. Okay. Who's next gonna try? Oh, the skinny little wizard who rolls a 2 and does it. It's like, really? You
He
know,
loosened it for you. Yeah.
yeah. It doesn't no, it's because all of the roles that you're making are very much within the context of the situation that you're in. Is it a
Mhm.
high stress scenario? Is it no stress scenario? Um, you know, the passing or the failing matters more based on the context of it being rolled. So it's even though you might have a 50-50 chance, if this is a life and death 50-50 chance, you know, that's you know, it's still very extreme in the circumstances, even though you have a great, in D&D, that's a great chance that you're going to win. You have a 50% chance. That's a great chance. But if it's a super, bad scenario, then that's a horrible chance. Oh, I have a
Sure.
50-50 chance of opening a door. Okay, well, so what? If I have a 50-50 chance of living or dying, well, there's context involved, which brings in the realities of passing and failing a role to a different level that people who care about numbers and averages don't really understand.
Hmm. And your second point there sums that all up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you remember, Andy calculated that one game we were playing. I guess he ran over 100 of your die rolls to see what your probabilities were, and it just seemed that you were failing at the most inopportune moments.
Right.
It turned out, probability rule of the day, you were rolling exactly average. Yeah.
Yep. It was exactly average, but when I needed to hit, I missed. When I needed to make a saving throw, I made it. When when I needed to make a skill roll, maybe I made it, maybe I didn't. But it was that combat scenario where the tension is high, and yeah, I missed. Yeah, I missed again. Yeah, I
Mhm.
missed. Because of that, whenever I'm playing, damn, I'm always looking to get advantage. I always, always,
You
always.
don't want that. You don't want that monkey creeping up on your back again, right? Yeah.
You know, one of those damn dice is gonna make it. You know, yeah.
Sure.
So giving and taking items, so treasure, right? This is probably the most difficult thing to do as a GM because you want the players to be happy with the treasure that they're getting, but you don't want that treasure to unbalance the game. And you've got
Yeah,
to
you
be
don't need it breaking something that you're going
right,
to have to try and compensate for later, because then
right.
now it's starting to look like you're being
Yeah,
mean. You're egotistical, get creeping
right.
in then. Yeah.
It's really, really interesting how certain rule systems are applied to certain scenarios, and it really just doesn't work. Um, a good example is the Lord of the Rings. There's a fifth edition version of it, and the power of the dark side is that they make you afraid all the time. Well, when you're afraid all the time, you're at disadvantage for everything. You're running away from combat all the time. You're just the rules for being frightened are such a massive disadvantage for the player that
Hmm.
it's game changing. Well, so what do? That's how the rule is. Well, the only thing you can do is give them something to counter that, like heroism. You're not frightened anymore. Okay, great. Is there any other option? Well, no, not really. Okay, so now if you give them heroism, not only are they not afraid anymore, but they also have 15 extra hit points. But that totally unbalances it the other way. Now
Yeah.
the monsters, now you're not afraid of anything, and you've got more hit points. It's like, no, the system is broken when it comes to either side of that.
Hmm.
So that sort of thing can happen anywhere at any time with any system if the magic item is something that has such an impact which you kind of want but you don't want at the same time.
Swings too far in one direction or another, as opposed to kind of keeping things in the middle.
Hmm. Like just a simple +1 to hit, okay, that's fine, right? That's not one plus
Well,
one.
but
If
even that,
that's
under certain
yeah.
circumstances, is really powerful.
Hmm. you know Especially if it's magic. Well, now
Yeah.
all these creatures that don't get hurt because the only magic can hurt them. Well, now you're hurting them.
Hmm.
No problem, right? So it's the whole treasure thing is you've got to be careful about.
Yep.
Maybe that's why Gygax put the treasure at the after you killed the monster that you need the treasure
Yeah.
to kill.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the treasure you needed to defeat the monster was found in the monster's hoard. Yeah,
yeah.
that's exactly what he did. A lot. Yeah.
So one of the secrets that I have that I use with gaming is the emotional roller coaster. I learned this from Aaron Sorkin, who's a writer. He's written a lot of good shows. What he'll do is like when you're playing, your emotions are even keel, right? They're just you're not happy, you're not sad. If you make someone sad, well, then their emotions only drop down, one step. Right now, they've gone from normal to sad, but or they go from normal to happy, right? It's just a small jump back and forth. But if you can write something up that makes them go from happy to sad, well, now that's a huge leap, right? That's a huge drop. Or go from
Hmm.
sad to really happy, that's a huge leap. So that's why when the characters have that villain that they've been struggling with, that's been really pissing them off for the longest time, and then they finally capture and kill him, that's why all that sadness just leaps up into this really high happiness, because all that stress gets released with the fun part. So if you can manage that kind of stuff into your storytelling, yeah, that's the way to go.
Yeah, but people are going to be excited to play into that because
Yeah.
they love those feelings, the
Hmm.
leaps in the feelings. Yeah. Mm.
I thought this was only gonna be a half hour.
Yeah, we managed to pack a whole lot of time into this. Well, it's good discussion and stuff. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So another secret is creating really good villains. You want to make if you have a villain that's maybe reoccurring, you want to make them um, someone who the characters really hate, really learn to hate, really want to kill, want to destroy, want to end, their situation. Um, so when and this is that roller coaster thing. So when you finally do take them out, it's an epic win. Everyone, yay! Everyone stands up and high fives.
Right.
You know,
Or on the
because
other hand, rescuing the princess. If it's just some unknown,
yeah.
you're not going to get much of a leap out of it. But if this was an NPC that the players absolutely loved, right? Rescuing her brings that elation right back into it too.
Hmm. Yeah. Now, one of the things at Gen Con was that this one GM asked, I can't get my players to care. I put a box of kittens in the stream and they're all going to drown and the players didn't care. Like, how do I get them to care?
Find players that like cats.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, little did you know, all the players hated cats. So one of the things that I did, well, stealing from your players, that pisses them off. That they'll
Yeah.
care with that. But I had this epic long plan of abducting one party member at a time. So I had this predetermined trap. They'd walk right into it. I'd abduct another player, you know, and because I predetermined everything, if they deviated and thought of something that my plan did not include, well, then they're that one step closer to to the villain. And eventually they got to the villain, and when the whole thing started, one of the guys said, "Yeah, so when I get him, I'm going to torture him and I'm going to abuse him for quite a long time because of what he's been doing." But when they finally caught him, he was so mad at this doppelganger NPC
Hmm.
that he just said, "Okay, I just kill him. I take his head off right there. Aren't you going to torture? No, 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 nope. He's dead. I'm killing him. He was
Yeah.
just it's be
So totally frustrated with that
yes,
villain that
yes,
there was so much emotion tied into
yes,
that. Yeah.
yes, yeah. I've had a friend uh, play in the game as a new character who was actually an assassin sent to kill them all. So of course, via the metagaming, oh, that's just our new friend. He's joining the party. Yay, this is going to be fun. Oh, I trust him totally, right?
Right.
So he starts playing, and then he attempts to kill one of the characters, and he kills the character. However, he killed the wrong character.
Ooh.
The character that he killed had a ring of 9 lives.
Hmm.
So he killed him, took one of the lives. The guy comes back to life, knows who the murderer is. He never showed up at the game ever again. And they hunted that character down.
Oh
You
wow.
know, it was like because they were so betrayed, they were so furious that their friend would play a character like that.
Ah.
It was great. It was
Hmm.
totally an emotional win. So one of the ways you keep the group together is with creating those relationships within the party, right? With all the players, all their characters, um, making sure that they're role playing with each other, making sure that their characters are being played and there's continuity
Mhm.
between everything, and that they're all playing together as a team. When you can manage, their heroic tales together, it you've got a group that will stay together.
Yeah, forming bonds and stuff. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. Yeah, not just a bunch of strangers or anything anymore. Even if it's a
Right.
bunch of friends, this kind of thing can bring friends groups tighter together. Yeah.
Hmm. Um, and it's the whole joking around. It's the whole thing. I mean, when you were running that game, and I've got that paladin, and that paladin always rolls shitty in combat.
Yep.
That became the joke. Now I could have gotten really really upset that I was always doing so poorly, but to me I just okay fine. It's just the joke of the character. This is just the character. This is the badge, the cross that I'm going to bear, right?
Yeah.
it, you know, and we just made fun of it, and we had a great time just making fun of it. Because
Became part of the group banter. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So when he finally did hit something, it was like, oh my God, who's this guy? He's,
What have you done with?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, George didn't, you
It
have that program on there to screw over his brother. Yeah, oh,
it
no, no.
made the game a little more fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think I've learned that from Champions because of all of the disadvantages, and the disadvantages make your character, right? Um,
Mhm.
that so this was a disadvantage for some unknown reason. Karma was hitting me to where I would not do well most of the time with a combat roll, and
Okay.
it was
That's
okay.
the way it goes. Play
It's
with
the
it.
way
Yeah.
that's the way it is,
Mhm.
you know, and it was great. It really was.
Mm-hmm.
Metagaming. This is something that a lot of people do and a lot of people have problems with.
Right. Yeah.
It's a bad thing. Try not
It-
to do it yourself and try not to let your players do it. And but by metagaming, what we mean is like there's out of game knowledge brought into your character. So you're a barbarian that hates magic users isn't going to tell the magic user what spells to cast, right? That's just not going to happen. That's metagaming. Um,
and players knowing things characters wouldn't. One of the things I remember brand new playing this game as a kid was all the discovery was so much fun.
yeah.
But I know now, and it's hard to put it aside, that if I'm playing a brand new first level character, why would I know that we need to pour fire on trolls?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
Yep.
it there's where the metagaming comes into play. And I know some players that are excellent at just setting. They know all that stuff, but they still set it aside and roll with that stuff and have a good. And it's a good game to play.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You threw the rust monster at my paladin,
Sure.
and it's like I've never seen one before.
Right.
My paladin's in plate for now.
That's why I
Yeah. And
went
I
after the paladin because he was wearing plate.
yeah.
Right.
And I went after it. I didn't know. Well, I knew. My character didn't know.
Right.
You
Right.
know.
And there's where metagaming. It's tough not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is tough, but you have to realize it's just a game, and the bad things that happen in a game are part of the game.
Sure.
You know, and they can be celebrated. You know, oh, I'm sorry. Did you get turned into a werebear? Oh,
Yeah. Right. It's all part of the game. Yeah.
yep.
Well, I'm sorry. That's the way it happened this week. You guys all got turned to stone by the Medusa. Next week, it's all brand new characters. That's part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people don't want to face that, but you know, if you do, good. Yeah, and there are some scenarios where it really doesn't matter, right? I'm gonna get armor again later.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a big deal. It's part of the experience.
And part of having fun with it. Yeah.
Respect is something that I think is important that a lot of the players don't really realize. And what I mean by that is respecting the fact that your GM is running the game. He's making an effort, or he or she's making they are making an effort to
Mm-hmm.
run a game. They're putting a lot of time into it, a lot more than you are. So respect that they're putting their self out there. They're putting their time into this. So as a player, I mean, don't be late.
And it goes the other way too. If you're running the game and your players are always all there before you show up, being fashionably late all the time is actually a bit of a letdown for them.
Yeah, exactly. It goes both ways.
Hmm.
So just be respectful of everyone's time. Because a lot of that time goes into prepping for the game,
Sure.
balancing out an encounter, and then if you're not showing up, well, now that balanced encounter is not balanced anymore. So,
Well, and then it's on the game master's purview there to pivot.
right.
But still,
Exactly. Yeah.
But still, yeah, he's putting a lot of time and effort into putting this
Mhm.
stuff together for you, and you can at least, come through on your commitment to it as well. Yeah.
Right. Always remember to let each player, have their time. I mean, if you've got an hour and 4 players, that's each player is getting 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So that means 3 of the players for 45 minutes aren't really doing anything. Now, hopefully that's not
But you
exact.
don't pick it up 15, 15, 15.
Yeah, you don't do that. No, but that's basically kind of what should be happening, but a lot of players can, merge their time together and stuff like that. But basically that's what you're starting with, right? So you want to
Yeah.
make sure that everyone gets to play.
Mm-hmm.
As best you can. And help the players. If the player doesn't know what to do, give them suggestions.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. Especially for newer players who don't really
Mhm.
understand what's going on with the game, or even experienced players, but you're playing a new genre or something that they're
Mhm.
not used to. Yeah.
Yeah. Call of Cthulhu kind of built that in with an idea roll, where if you don't know what to do, you can make this idea roll, and the GM can help you out with an idea that you come up with.
Okay.
So they built that in because it's not a mainstream sort of game.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's the last slide.
That's the last slide. Help players. Yeah, that was well. We got an hour and a half out of this. No, really, but there is a lot of information in there. There's a lot of it's not a real simple subject to talk
No,
about. It's
no,
there's nope.
no. It is.
Anybody can do it.
Yes,
Anybody can be a game master, right? And
yes.
don't let the amount of work that goes into being a game master um, turn you away from wanting to be one, right?
Hmm.
That's we're just offering up some suggestions here, places,
Hmm.
way to start, and things to look out for if this is a direction you plan on going. And this was excellent. This is great.
Hmm.
This
And
was
there's a lot of good there's a lot of amazing examples out there online. Critical Role has done a lot for the game, a
yes.
lot for the genre, and
Hmm.
I applaud them tremendously for doing it. It's good for me because that means that there are people out there who are inspired to be GMs, and I get to play
Hmm.
instead of being the GM all the
Yeah.
time.
We don't have to be
Uh,
forever GMs anymore. No.
right? Yeah. So that's awesome. Um, I really appreciate that. But don't get the wrong idea that you have to be a voice actor. You know,
No,
you
that's
don't.
right. That's one of the things is as much as Critical Role benefited
Hmm.
the game, they did set up some unrealistic expectations.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean
This
these are
these
the
are
best.
actors. This is
Yes.
that's their thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? You don't have to be an actor to be a game
Right.
master. Yeah.
And they act, you know, during the game.
Hmm.
They're the role players, right? They're role
And that's
playing the
fine.
whole
If your
thing.
players want to
Yeah.
do that, let
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
right? But don't let that pressure other players who don't
Right.
want to do that into thinking they have to. Yeah.
Right. Right. You don't have to have an accent for your character. You don't have to, be funny all the time. You don't have to, um, do all the things that all the people on YouTube are doing and
Hmm.
all that. You just, do your thing, um, and hopefully it's in line with your players.
Well, this was definitely great. We got to do this again. We'll come up with
Yes.
something else that we're going to talk about, and
Champions, Rollmaster.
yeah, yeah. Since I'm doing the Roll Master videos with Gonzalo there, I think you and I should probably sit down and go over. I was thinking, you and I would at least do Hero Systems since that is or Champions. We'll start with Champions because that's where it all started,
Hmm.
and that being your favorite game system. Let's do that one. Yeah, and give you an opportunity to talk that one up because it is a very, very good game system.
It is. It's also a system that scares a lot of people away.
Uh,
It's
yeah, sure.
hey, thanks for showing up. And do you have any questions that you want answered?
Yeah, if anybody's got questions, we're more than happy to answer questions. I mean, there is no stupid questions.
No,
We might give you a dumb answer, but there are no stupid questions.
no.
That's what I tell a lot of my students all the time. No stupid questions, or I'll give you a dumb answer.
Yeah, when I was at Gen Con and did the seminar for being a good GM, I opened it up for Q&A, and I got a lot of interesting questions. And because
Yeah, we don't
people
have
are
to
worried about
have
their own
all the
thing.
night. I'll be keeping an eye on the the whatever you call it, the discussions and stuff below. If anybody's got any questions, not looking at this live, throw them in the comments and stuff. We'll talk about that kind of stuff in the comments as well.
Exactly. Yeah, put questions in the comments.
Yeah,
that always works.
Ooh, wish I could type.
Why?
Because I put a question mark instead of an exclamation mark. Like, I don't know, man.
I don't know. Maybe that's more appropriate.
Oh, awesome. Well, yeah. Thanks for everybody for joining, and thanks, Rich, for coming on and discussing all this stuff with me. We'll get back to doing other stuff here shortly. We'll try to do a little more notice than we did with this one tonight, but this was great. Just throwing it together, jumping on out there. This was an excellent discussion.
Yeah, this was an improv event.
Yes, we pivoted.
Yes.
All right. Thanks. All right. Thanks for joining us tonight. Again, if you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. If you got some comments, if you got some questions, though, go ahead and in the questions below, and we will try to get them answered and stuff. And if you got any suggestions for other things that you'd like us to discuss, we're more than happy to discuss it. Again, thanks again for joining us.